Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Reece, bringing back to the channel Charlie for a very special review, a spoiler-free review on Barbie, of course, released this Friday, the 21st of July, Barbenheimer Day, whatever you want to call it, directed by Greta Gerwig, starring Margot, Robbie, and Ryan Gosling. And I haven't seen the film, which is why these two amazing people are here today just doing the review for me. I'm jumping on to help this. And first of all, I'm going to say thank you both for being on. You've both been at the screening tonight in London. We're pre-recording this on the Monday night. The review is going to drop Wednesday midnight here in the UK, Tuesday afternoon in America. But how are you both doing tonight?
Doing very well, indeed. A very enjoyable screening, which makes coming on here at this time of night so much better. If it would have been a film that I seriously disliked, then it would probably be a lot harder staying up well past my old person's bedtime. But yeah, very good at the moment for sure.
Yeah, all good. It was an absolutely packed screen. Seemed like everyone was in good spirits before it started and also when it ended. So yeah, it's been a good night.
Excellent, and that is always a good sign. That's what we want to see that's what we want to see at the cinemas. We want to see busy crowds. It's going to be a busy weekend. There's some numbers I'll talk about a little bit later on that have been flying around. Not going to do the boring box office talk, but it's looking very good this week for cinema, not just this film or Oppenheimer, or is going to be a great week for cinema. It's what we need, what we're looking forward to. And as always, we do want to hear from everybody at home, so please do comment below with your thoughts on Barbie. As I said, we're keeping this one spoiler-free. If you've watched the film, if you're coming in down the line, there's potentially other Barbie videos, other Oppenheimer videos planned. Things are in the pipeline. We don't know what they're going to be. But when there is more detail, we will announce them as we always do on our social medias, Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, and a link to Redbubble in the description below. But as we do these spoiler-free reviews, we tend to break it down into a few other areas. We'll talk about the cast, we'll talk about the soundtrack, the direction. But I always enjoy hearing from people because everyone's different. Everyone's got their own individual thoughts. I want to know your hype heading into this film today, since maybe not when it's been announced, but the build-up to this, I genuinely think has been one of the most insane marketing campaigns of the last few years. And I think this is a film the whole world knows about. Even though it might not appeal to many people, you cannot escape Barbie at the moment. And you two both, of course, living in London, where it's been even more insane. There are Barbie buses. They've lit up landmarks. Just talk us through what you've seen heading into tonight. Were you excited? And maybe the reasons as to why.
Definitely excited. I think more so excited because of the reactions that have come from people that have seen it before. So the press screenings in the States happened about a week ago, and the automatic reaction just was so high that and everything that I seen about it going in, every trailer, every poster, every small little clip had me even more intrigued. But if anything, the hype's been a little bit annoying. It's got to that kind of stage of it's just been non-stop and people are arguing over Barbie or Oppenheimer, what's going to be the better film. And the reactions from both seem like we're going to get two absolute bangers and not have to worry about why are we discussing these two films together when one's clearly on a different stratosphere of film than the other one is. But definitely excited going into it. Definitely was more hyped for Oppenheimer. I'm a big Nolan fan, but I think the buzz of everyone else around you seems to make the hype get even higher. And yeah, I was extremely excited to watch it. Not as much as the pink infused crowd that were with me, but definitely was looking forward to it going in for sure.
Yeah, I think it did feel a little bit like a competition of who's the most excited. Like when everyone was taking their seats and people turning up in like full costumes, and I've never seen so many Barbie t-shirts in my whole life. Like even people you wouldn't expect to be wearing them were wearing them. So yeah, it's definitely had hype around it. And yeah, I'm with Reece. I mean, I just think it's like the whole Barbenheimer thing is getting a little bit out of hand. Like it's just yes, okay, it's like the biggest weekend in cinema that we've known for a really long time, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see how both films do, and like what people think of them. And most people will probably see both because that's kind of how it's being marketed. But like ultimately, that you can't get much more opposite with films. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see how they both fare. But yeah, the hype was definitely built. The press tour, which sadly has now had to come to an end, but the press tour was incredible. You know, like some of the outfits that Margot was put in, and you know, they literally were just showing Barbie through the years, which was amazing and so creative, and it just all goes with what this film is and what it means. And yeah, I mean, there was definitely a buzz. There was definitely a buzz around this film.
Excellent. And I think that's what's exciting, right? That ultimately the winner of this is going to be the audiences. It's not just about making money. It's not about this cast. It is, you know, as directors will say, it's great for the industry. People spend so much time talking about box office numbers. I'm included in that issue. I'll do it a lot. But if you're going to have two completely contrasting films, why can't they both be successful? You don't have to pit one against the other. And it's going to be exciting. We're all going to be winning come this weekend, I guarantee. And across August and the rest of the year, I think these could be two films people talk about for the years to come. And kind of jumping off of that, I'd love to get both your just very initial thoughts. You've had your first viewing. We'll talk about the direction, the cast a little bit after, but just initial impressions. Did it land? What were you thinking with it? And have you? I know we're very fresh off this, and normally when it's the press screening videos, so I'd be on the train home at this point in time, which everyone finds insane, and I will literally run from Leicester Square like I did from Mission Impossible to try and get an earlier train back. There's been train strikes, everything. So it's nice to be able to do one before a film comes out with a few other people. But just hit me with your initial thoughts. You've not had much time, so what are they at this point in time?
I really enjoyed it as a whole. It's hard to break down too much because it's not the most extravagant story. It's more to do with emotion and feelings and but basically how women are looked upon in the world and how things can go about changing, and with a lot of humor. The thing that stuck out the most for me was just how funny the film was. There was some one-liners in there which range from pop culture to football to all these other things that you just didn't expect to have in the film. I knew that Ryan Gosling was going to be good in it, but he is by far for me the best part of the film. It's like he's so free in his acting. He just had so much space and he just proper went at it. And Ken was by far and not just Ken, Ryan Gosling's Ken was the best part of the film for me. But going into it, my only thing that I was worried about is how was they going to split the time between Barbie Land and the real world? And it actually went, I'm not going to say which direction it went, but it went in a different direction than I thought it was going to go. And which helped because I thought the production design was phenomenal in this. And it's going to be one of those ones that's definitely going to be in a conversation when the award season comes. I don't know how it's going to fare based on obviously June Part 2, Oppenheimer, all these big films that are ready to come so far. That Yorgos Lanthimos film is also looked visually stunning, but no, the production design, the costume design. Charlie was talking about Margot doing a tour and having the costumes on the whole time, and the costumes throughout the film with all the different Barbies and Kens, and then obviously the real world characters as well. It was brilliant. I don't know how I really feel about the film on a grand scale. Is it going to be one of those films that's going to be at the top of my end of year rankings? But on a first watch enjoyment level, people are going to get a lot out of this film. And you were talking about box office and the money it's going to make. It has potential to break $1 billion. And I didn't think that at the start of the year. I wouldn't have said that this Barbie film has potential to break over $1 billion, but it was wall to wall packed in there. And I've been going to those screenings for years, and I don't remember the last time I went into a film that had 3 different screens that day as well. The IMAX in Cineworld, which is absolutely ramo, and everyone seemed to come out and have a good enjoyment of the film anyway. You can always tell that kind of atmosphere when the film is finished, and people definitely seem to enjoy it. It's one I want to go back and watch again to kind of dissect a little bit more, but on a kind of basis overall scale, it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it always helps when a film has that great atmosphere in the screen. You know, that's what we're all kind of hoping for all the time when we go to the cinema. It's that end game atmosphere, you know, the people cheering and clapping and laughing all in unison with each other. And that's kind of essentially the magic of cinema. You know, that's what we get when we're in a sold out screen. My initial thoughts were, so as I was watching it, I was like, this film is either absolutely brilliant or terrible. Like it's got that kind of like, it's almost like Marmite, but the further you go through it and the more that the like Reece says, the emotion and the weight of it and the relevance of it unpacks itself, it's just genius. I mean, what Greta did with that script is something else. And I took my flatmate as my +1 to this screening, and we were walking back to the flat just now, discussing like what categories is it going to get at the Oscars? I think it's going to wipe the slate. Like there's not going to be anything else like this year, and I think that what we saw with the Oscars last year with Everything Everywhere, this is almost like, I know it's big budget and it's different, but it's almost like going to shock people at how, you know, it's going to bag a nomination for costume design, for production design, probably for music, for performances. Like everyone in it is just giving it their all, and you can almost like tell that everybody on that set was having a great time whilst they were doing it. You know, it feels really raw, it feels really honest, it feels really like powerful, whilst also being really silly and funny and clever and bright. And it's just really, really well crafted and actually really important. You know, as me and my flatmate watching it as two females who have experienced all of that emotion on so many occasions, it just has its place. And I think it's going to be financially the biggest film of the year. I think it's absolutely going to smash everyone out of the water. I think people will want to go and see it multiple times. It's going to be a competition of who's seen it the most times and who can quote it, you know, and line for line and all of that. And I think it's definitely got legs. That's probably the best way to put it.
Excellent. And it kind of makes me more excited that we're only a few days away from seeing it. And it is one of them where, you know, so many people I know that they're not into film. And this is always, I don't know what you guys like with your social groups, but when the non-film fans start asking you about certain films, that's when you know that, okay, people are hearing about this. This isn't just talk. This is something else. And I do think Barbie's had that effect, and it is continuing to do so as we get nearer. And kind of in line of that, I want to ask you both about Greta Gerwig. So I have not seen Lady Bird. I'll get that out there now. I've seen Little Women only the once during the Oscar run. I've seen a lot of her performances where she's actually been acting as well. I'm a massive fan of Frances Ha. She co-wrote this with Noah, her partner as well, of course, who's wrote many Wes Anderson films, has a very successful director in his own career. Marriage Story is probably a big one people would have seen. Just what's the direction like? Because that's something I'm very curious about. And what I absolutely love, every time I've seen her in an interview, the big thing I've took from this is that when she spoke about Barbie recently, she just outright said that I want to be doing big studio films. That's what I want to do for my career. And I, not to moan about Twitter, but I saw some people trying to slate that. I'm like, it's their career, it's not yours. And B, we talk about how there's no Nolans, right? And he's the too easy an example. That he went to commercially do a superhero trilogy, smashed it, broke records. Now he's built his own branding career because he did that. And I think Greta Gerwig, based off that interview, is looking to do something of that trajectory. And Barbie's not, you know, it's not like part of the ladder. I wouldn't say that at all because that's a discredit to what this film I think is going to be. But I just love that her attitudes to what she wants to do. But I'm just curious, what is the direction like? And if you have seen the other films, what is it like compared to her other work? Because I think that's, I mean, again, I'm not saying Lady Bird. From what I know about it, it's 3 very different films, which is also great as well.
Yeah. So for me, Barbie is a best film so far. I think the direction is phenomenal. Like Charlie said a minute ago, it's like nothing you've seen before. It's so funky, but it's also, it feels like you have seen it before, but it's also very new and fresh at the same time. The direction is so on point. The script, however, is a joke. Like it's so good. I'd love to know the kind of proportion that I know they write together and they've made many films together, but I wonder how that process would have been writing the film, because at the core, it's a very female voice. You can tell that a lot, but I want to know how much he had an input into it. But Greta Gerwig, this film, her comments about wanting to make big blockbusters and having the opportunity to do it is all over this film. That's what this film is about. It's about people being able to be who they want to be without having to conform to other people's views of what they should be. And that is all over this film. So her comments are so in line with the message of the film. And I don't understand why people look at someone wanting to make blockbusters as a bad thing. It's like the biggest films of the year, Mission Impossible, Barbie, Oppenheimer, June Part 2. They're cinematic events. That's what we want. You talk about people's best cinematic experiences, and it's like Star Wars. Some of the Marvel movies, I know Charlie loves Endgame, those kind of cinematic movies that you don't get all the time. And I don't think just because she made Little Women and Lady Bird that she wanted to make those niche kind of art house films. She didn't want to do that. It's just that she only had that opportunity to do that. And I feel like Barbie's going to give her that leg up to do what she wants to do. And if this is the type of film that she's going to be making when it comes to blockbusters and cinematic films, then by all means, let her do whatever the hell she wants, because she's clearly got the juice to do it.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, like, it's her career. If that's what she wants to do, and she's finally being presented with those opportunities, then there's no reason why. If she didn't want to do them, she's also in a position where she would say no. You know, like, look at this film, look at Little Women. You know, that she's already making films for herself, so she doesn't need big studios to be like, we're going to hire you to do our next film. She's doing it because she wants to. And yeah, she's taking on a couple of the Narnia films for this big reboot that Netflix is planning. And it's like, why shouldn't she? If she loved those books growing up, or even if she didn't love those books growing up, but this was presented to her and she wants to do it, let her bloody do it. You know, she's finally getting to a point where she can be making all the decisions for her own career. And I think, like Reece says, that's literally the whole point of Barbie. That is literally the message all the way through it, is that women are not presented with the same opportunities as men. And it's told in a tongue-in-cheek kind of comical way, but it's the heart of this story, and it's the heart of Little Women, and it's that basically the heart of Lady Bird, is that she's held back by those around her. And I just think it's so empowering, and it's so linear to the stories that she's telling is actually happening to her. But yeah, back to Barbie, her direction is flawless. She knew exactly what she wanted to achieve going in, and she achieved it. And it's just cinematically stunning to look at. And I just think she's done a fantastic job, a really incredible job.
Excellent. And just a side point, the Narnia stuff, I don't know if anyone saw the meme, but they got the photo of Timothée Chalamet in his red scarf, and they basically said it was Mr. Thomas side by side, and it actually looked amazing, and you can see it.
It does look really good. I've seen the picture, and it does. I think that would be brilliant casting. And I'm definitely on the high ground when it comes to Timothy. I think he's a brilliant actor. I'm not one of those people that doesn't rate him. I do feel like he needs to branch out a bit and maybe do something a little bit more quirky, which hopefully Wonka's that film for him, right? But no, that memo was brilliant.
Excellent. And kind of segueing Greta Gerwig, I won't go for the cast because there's a lot of Barbies, there's a lot of Kens. I'm going to ask you both about the main two. Of course, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling. I think everyone saw the set photos last year, right, of them on the beach. They've released the one of Margot in the car. The hype around this has been insane, and I'm a massive fan of both these actors. I'm going to say that outright, and I absolutely love Ryan Gosling. I know there's a bit of a weird trend. You get some weird people online that have that weird attitude with him, who love him a bit too much. I like him, I love him a lot, but I'm not going to have a drive jacket because I can't pull that off, and no one can except Ryan Gosling. Just talk to me. Are they the best thing in it? Like, I don't want to in and out of the performances, but they are everywhere. They are the marketing. His interviews have been hilarious. He's almost been comic relief to the press tour, and that's been my diagnosis from it. That they were asking, "Oh, what were you doing when you were teenagers?" Just talking about playing Barbies. He's like, "I was singing, I was working," and I just think every time he talks, he's golden. But what are they like, and the chemistry as well as their performances?
Yeah, so I'll talk about Margot and talk about Ryan in a second, but I just want to shout out Michael Cera because he is absolutely so funny in this film, and it's just his presence, his character himself. Like, even that this is the end. That's when he's playing himself. Like, any film he's in and he's got a small little role, he's just so funny. He's such a great comedic actor. And then Helen Mirren, who is the narrator for the film. There's one moment that is in relation to Margot Robbie that just had me absolutely dying. The tongue-in-cheek way the narration's done is fantastic. Margot is she is Barbie. I look at her and that is what I picture a Barbie being, right? And of course, the whole point of the film is that that's not just what Barbie is, and there's many different versions of Barbie. But if you told me, what does a Barbie look like? Margot Robbie would be the first thing that comes into my mind. And that is initially what the first Barbie doll basically was, right? A blonde woman in a bathing suit with just an insane figure. And she's seriously good in this film, but I didn't see anything from her that kind of blew my socks off, because I see her in that kind of that way anyway. I think she's just solidly good in everything. I think her best performance is The Wolf of Wall Street. There's certain twang that she had with that New York kind of vibe that kind of took it to a next level. Great actress, but for me, and I know it's a very feminine film, but the man of the moment is Ryan Gosling. Every single line he gets is just had me dying, and I think it was purposefully that way. He is the comedic relief of the whole film, really. His rivalry with the other Ken, played by Simu Liu, was pretty funny as well. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's a section of the film where he kind of just goes off the rails a little bit, and it's just, it's so funny. The film is, I know we're talking about the actors, but I got to keep getting back to the comedy. It was so much more funnier than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to have that kind of tongue-in-cheek aspect, but like every single line had me dying. And again, Ryan Gosling, I think he's a brilliant actor. This may be one of his best performances. And I seen a lot of people talking about award stuff the other day, and I was like, I don't see how this film could get acting awards, but I kind of throw that out the window now. I think he could definitely be in the mix when it comes to award seasons, because the character he plays is just so good, and the developments the character makes throughout the film. Obviously, the other Barbies are kind of there on a surface level to kind of get the story from A to B, but Margot and Ryan, their characters have character development throughout the film, and they're clearly the main two characters from the Barbie world anyway. But no, brilliant, and Ryan Gosling might have my favorite performance of the year so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll play it clever and put him in as support, because obviously Barbie is the pivotal character of the thing, and I think he'll probably have more of a chance in support as well, which, you know, fine. I think he absolutely stole every moment that he had on screen, and I don't think I've actually ever seen him in a comedic role before, and for me it was like I was watching a completely new emerging young comedy actor. You know, I like him. I've never been like a super fan. I love La La Land, so I think he's great in that. But yeah, this was just, his performance was flawless. I think Margot, like Reece says, just embodies the character entirely. She's obviously absolutely beautiful, but also performs it really, really nicely, really subtly, really gets down to the nitty gritty of it, but whilst keeping face and just floating across the screen. Like, she's just flawless. I think in terms of supporting roles, I think America Ferrera was amazing. I would love to see her get a supporting actress nomination. She develops some just incredible dialogue, and she carries the thing like on her back, really. I think she's just amazing. And I also think Kate McKinnon did a great job as Weird Barbie. I thought she was really funny, really quirky, kind of what you would expect from her character and from her as a performer. But and Michael Cera was it was just so funny, and such a sort of like nice little sidelined character, but done so well. I just think everyone was flawless in it. You know, even the other Kens. Kingsley Benadir was great. Ncuti Gatwa was great. They get small parts, but they really like hold their own on screen. I think, like I said earlier on, I just think they all looked like they were having an absolute blast whilst they were making it. And I just thought they were all amazing. But yeah, America Ferrera was the standout for me entirely.
Excellent. And if anyone wants a good Ryan Gosling comedy, The Nice Guys is what I can recommend.
Oh, I didn't like
Charlie,
that
I don't think you'd like that. I was going to say, I don't
no,
think you'd
I've
like
seen
that
it.
film. But,
I love that film.
It did not do it for me
Shane
at
Black
all.
being Shane Black. And that's fair. And that's what I'm excited for, is both of you have been glowing about this film, and it makes me more excited to see it on Friday. It's making the hype build a little bit more. And the last thing before we get into final thoughts, I just want to ask about the soundtrack. This is everywhere. The songs, the marketing, the different colored vinyls you can get. They've released a Ken edition of the CD, if anyone's heard about this. How is that soundtrack? I don't think I've ever seen a more hype soundtrack for a film that hasn't come out yet. I know, of course, Guardians have got their amazing, the 3 soundtracks they've had from the trilogy, but what is this one like? I know, and also it's all original. It's all new original songs, isn't it? I think everyone recorded new songs for it.
I don't think there was any old films in there. Haim have got a new song in there. Billie Eilish's new song is in there. The Billie Eilish song is across probably the most emotional part of the film. And if I didn't lose my headphones in the cinema, I probably would have been listening to that the whole way home. The soundtrack was really good, and you both know my opinion when it comes to musical films, but the some of the singing bits from Ryan Gosling were just so on point, and it definitely didn't feel like a musical to me, even though there was a lot of musical numbers in the film. But the soundtrack overall was brilliant. I definitely want to go back and have a proper listen to it without the film and kind of see how it flows. But for me, a good soundtrack is sometimes you have certain scenes where there's a certain song that just kind of overpowers the scene. But I just felt like every song that was played over a certain scene meshed really well. I couldn't say what the standout would probably be the Billie Eilish song for me, just because of the emotions that it added to the scene. But no, the soundtrack fit on the movie like a glove.
Yeah, and it was just a really clever use of music as well, like to develop the characters and to develop the moments and the emotional punches and things like that, but also to help build the comedy and help shape those big scenes, and obviously all around Ken. But it was well crafted and really like they've used some big names. I mean, people I don't listen to, but like big pop stars at the moment and all of that. But ultimately, the songs that they wrote and the songs that they put in where they did put them in really helped drive the story and the moments that they're there.
Amazing. That will be one for the car on the way home. On the way, I don't think I can play Oppenheimer on the way to Barbie, but that score does drop on Friday as well. And that's going to kind of round out the core of this review. And so, last thing, again, I know these are tricky when they're sort of, when you've just in the film, but final thoughts for that first viewing, it's almost your initial fresh thoughts, isn't it? Just wrapped up for anyone at home, and rounding them out with, of course, as I like to do, a recommendation to the scale of do you go out and see it, which I'm pretty sure I know the answer to.
Yeah, this is the thing with me, and this is why I hate to give a film a rating until I've spoken about it or written my review. I'll never go and write a review or make a YouTube video and say it's a 4 out of 5, it's a 5 out of 5 until I've spoken about it. And I still don't think I'm ready to call this a 5 out of 5. I need to sleep on it for sure. But if we're talking recommend, I recommend it to all. I came out of the cinema and I had a message from one of my friends saying, is it okay to take my 9-year-old daughter to? And it really is. It's a film that you can take young girls to. And it's a film for all ages. It's a very feminist film. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have some right-wing lunatics kind of going off on it. And you're going to see a lot of stuff online in the coming weeks about it's anti-men and stuff like that. It's not. It's very much in tune with where we're kind of at as a society at the moment. And it's good for all ages, men, women, children. I think everyone will get something from it. It's got a great story, brilliant performances, the production design, everything about it is really, really good. I'm trying to think of if there's anything that I would change or any kind of negatives that I have. And right now, honestly, I don't. My opinion might change after watching it again. I might start nitpicking certain things, as I tend to do when watching a film for a second time and watching it with a different, more of an analytical lens. But right now, it's definitely one that I would go and check out for sure.
Yeah, 100% recommending it to everyone, literally everyone. People who will learn lessons from it, people who will see themselves in it, people who just need it, just need the silly, goofy, bright colored, joyous occasion that it is. Recommending it to everyone. Already got tickets booked to see it again on Saturday. Actually really looking forward to seeing it again, because I feel like on a second watch with most things, because you already know what's going to happen, you look at things very differently. You kind of pick up on different parts of the film. So and I just think it's got moments of preachiness, but preachiness that needs to be there. It's because that's the film that Greta wanted to make. And I think that is the important thing to remember, is that yes, it's a film about Barbie and it is a lot of fun, but it's also got a really emotional core and a really important lesson, a lot of really important lessons all the way through it. And I think that is, but I also don't want that to put people off. I don't want people to think that they're getting told off when they're watching this film. You know, it's not a, like Reece says, it's not a hating on men film. It's just a reminding people that things are not as perfect or as fixed as they like to believe that they are, you know. I mean, it had, me and my flatmate were both crying by the end because we just felt so empowered and so seen and so heard. And yeah, I think it's really wonderful, and I think people need to go and watch it with a completely fresh take. You know, don't go in expecting something, because chances are that's not what you're going to get, and then you might be disappointed. Just go in completely, you know, fresh eyes, and just soak it up for what it is. Crazy, wonderful, hilarious, heartbreaking masterpiece.
Excellent. And listen, that's what I'm excited for. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see people maybe not react to it. Please don't do reaction videos in the cinema, people. I hope there weren't loads of influencers there signing their phones, because that's the one thing that gets me going at events. Which
didn't seem like there was.
So, and that's a good sign. Hopefully they're all at the premiere last week instead. That could be why. But that's going to round it out for this review of Barbie. Once again, thank you both so much for coming on, for covering this for us. And to people at home, please do comment your thoughts. If you're looking forward to it, if you're not, as I said, we are keeping this spoiler free. We'll reply to any comments that do come up once this video goes up. And you can get us on our social medias. If you want to follow us when we announce our other videos, what else we're working on. Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. The link to Redbubble in the description. I'm going to plug what both of you guys have got going on. Reece, of course, one of the busiest guys I know. And I don't just say that because you're on a video. You joined us for Mission Impossible a couple of weeks ago. You've got 2 podcasts. We've got everything in the description, social scrolling at the bottom. We've got your link tree as well. What are you up to? What can people expect? Because I know you've just seen Barbie. And yeah, not to put you on the spot too much.
Yeah, so the written reviews at the moment, obviously Barbie and Oppenheimer will go on this week, as will Talk to Me, which is a horror movie, an Australian horror movie that I'm extremely happy and excited to watch. 3 films this week: Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Talk to Me. And for cinema, I don't think I've had a better week potentially in a long while. So written reviews will be up for all 3 of those on the cinematique.com. As always, I have a weekly podcast where we interview people working within the film industry. I've had yourself on, Charlie. I need to get on. Haven't had Charlie on as of yet, but it's just a case of that podcast. I speak to people working within the film industry, try and give tips and information for people that are potentially thinking about doing the same kind of thing, because I think we expect people to know more information than they do. So it's nice to speak to people that work in different kind of avenues within film, and just kind of give a bit of information so people know what they're doing and what they can look forward to doing what we do. And then the other podcast is a weekly one where we just talk about the films that we've seen over the past week with myself and my good friend Manuel, who's just become Rotten Tomatoes approved today, half an hour before filming this. So that's fantastic for him. Yeah. I assume that I didn't get the email that I've been rejected, but next year's another year. But yeah, so the 2 podcasts, YouTube videos are going to be coming back shortly. Like you said, I'm very busy, so I haven't had time for the YouTube at the moment, but I will be releasing my top 100 films of all time video at some point early August. So look out for that one. And that is it.
Amazing. And as we always say, please follow Reece.
Yeah.
Charlie, we've got you back on the channel. I'm very excited to get you back on. What was the last thing we did? Celebration. Was it Celebration?
Oh God, I don't even know. But everything Reece just says is completely putting me to shame, because I've been so out of the game recently. Actually started a new job like a month ago, so I just haven't really had time to keep up with anything. But
I think your job's probably a little bit more important than my podcast.
Doing
Charlie,
videos,
right?
Yeah, we won't say anything more. We don't want to put you on the spot, but we've got your socials though. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen, you can find Charlie Instagram, Twitter. I mean, you do a lot of posting. It's not just film stuff. You've got a pretty fun life. I don't want to
Yeah.
push things too much because I'm always careful what I'm saying, but
Don't do that.
you're kind of doing Barbenheimer. You're seeing Oppenheimer on Friday, right? And you're doing Barbie again Saturday. And you've been working with us on this channel for years. I've known you before, way before you're doing videos with us. And genuinely, not saying that on air, but I'm very proud of you. And yeah, everyone needs to follow you anyway. But yeah, I don't know if you've got anything to plug. I'm just scared about saying the wrong thing. That's all.
No. Got nothing.
That's fine. Honestly, that's fine. People just follow her instead. If you don't already, you are missing out. And yes, talking about, I've mentioned Oppenheimer a lot today. We talked about Oppenheimer a lot. There will be an Oppenheimer review on the channel at some point. That point is TBC. It's not going to be one before the film comes out. I did not screaming because it wasn't a beer fry. I'm actually snobbing. Why didn't I go to the beer fry IMAX? Well, I'm going on Friday for the double bill of double bills. Barbenheimer takes place this Friday and Saturday. There may be a vlog, whatever you want to call it, going up on Saturday night. If I decide to document the journey down, the day begins at 4 in the morning and ends at about midnight for me. Like those films in between the stones. So there could be some cool Barbenheimer stuff. There could be a Barbie review when you see it. No. Don't think you just want to be honest. But there will be a very in-depth Barbenheimer because I will not let them pass this channel by. And plugging up because they are very video weeks, which is something that's talking about. So as always, details will be on social media. There's been a lot of new releases. We finished the Mission Impossible retrospect, which was an amazing series to do. So much great for a short 6 weeks one, and we'll be kickstarting the Denis Villeneuve one in August. I need to really work on that pronunciation, get that right before that series starts. It's been embarrassing at this point in time. But closing out, enormous 40 minutes. Didn't expect that. Again, both of you, thank you so much for coming on. You've literally got home from the screen. You've jumped on the stream. You've done this review for me. I'm grateful for both of you. Everyone follow them. Check out their videos, what they've done for us in the past on this channel as well. Two amazing people there to get you both on. So thank you all. Thank you for those watching, and be sure to join us on the next one. Take care.